Hello, we're back again to discuss the frameworks of eschatology. We've already discussed two historic frameworks, preterism and Adventism. And what we mean by historic is that a large amount of the events have already been in the past. They've already occurred according to these frameworks. Now we want to look at the three futuristic frameworks, which believe that most of the events of the eschaton, most of the last times events, still lie in the future. They are postmillennialism, amillennialism, and premillennialism. Now, I know what you're thinking already. You're thinking, wow, those words are a mouthful, and where on earth do they come from? They all revolve around Revelation 20 and how Revelation 20 plays in the timeline. Revelation 20 is that period of 1,000 years known as the millennium. So that's where post-millennial, amillennial, and premillennial all come from. That idea of the millennium, the 1,000-year reign of Christ in Revelation 20. And all three of those futuristic views interpret either the millennium or Jesus' return concerning it in a different manner. Now, looking quickly at Revelation 20, and you may want to get your Bible for this, but in Revelation 20, the millennium is just a Latin word meaning mille annium, 1,000 years. The millennium is the 1,000 years in which Satan is bound, verse 2. Martyrs reign with Christ, verse 4. The rest of the dead wait until it is over to be raised, verse 5. Those in the first resurrection will reign, verse 6. Satan is released after it is over, verse 7. And then he makes war, is defeated, and then the final judgment, verses 8 through 15. Okay, now there's a difference in the way this millennium is seen. The pre- and post-millennialists, no, I take that back. The premillennialists read this as fairly literal. The amillennialist reads this as figurative and describing the age of the church. The postmillennialist reads this as figurative and as a glorious age to come. So, the easiest of the three to discuss is postmillennialism. And it's the shortest because it is largely passé in terms of its popularity. Because postmillennialists believe that Jesus will return after this 1,000 years. Now, the order of events in Revelation 20 has Jesus coming before this 1,000 years. But the postmillennialists believe that Jesus' real return is after this 1,000 years. And this 1,000 years is a period of time where Christians work to improve the world and make it fit for Jesus' return. He, according to the postmillennialist, he has commissioned us to take dominion over the earth and to subdue it, hearkening back to Genesis 1, and he has given us the mandate to make the world fit for his return. And that is postmillennialism. This position thrived during the golden age of modernity. It was the perfect coupling to the view that the world was getting better and better and human progress was going to bring us to the promised land, more or less. Remember, that was the view of much of the 19th century and into the early part of the 20th century. The Great Depression sandwiched around the two world wars, communism, Nazism, that destroyed that optimistic outlook of humankind. But postmillennialism thrived during this golden age of onward and upward progress. When progress was the key idea of our world, and the Christian West sincerely believed that the world was getting better and better. Again, the world wars, the Depression, and all that's connected with all of it pretty much shattered that optimistic outlook. So, postmillennialism is rarely found today. It exists, but it's rarely found, except among Christian Reconstructionists and Dominionists. And those two are becoming increasingly one. but it's the idea that humans need to take over governments, or Christians need to take over governments and all sorts of other public and civic duties in order to usher in the golden age. They're still postmillennialists, but they're pretty much it. It has become very passe because we no longer have that optimistic, the future's getting better and better outlook. To us, we're scared to death of the future because we've seen how bad we can be, and we know that the possibility exists of us getting worse. So outside of those Reconstructionist and Dominionist circles, you don't see postmillennialism hardly at all. And so it's the easiest one to discuss. Again, the salient points of its view toward the millennium is the millennium is the time period where the church builds the kingdom for Christ to return to. And then once the church is finished building it, this 1,000-year period, Jesus returns. It doesn't necessarily need to be 1,000 years. It's just a long period of time. So the 1,000 years itself is not directly literal. It is figurative, meaning a long period of time. And once the kingdom is built, Jesus comes to step onto the throne that we have built for him. Probably some of you are recoiling at that. If you're not a Dominionist or Reconstructionist at heart, you're saying, hey, wait just a doggone minute here. And your suspicions are right, because in it lies a very inflated view of our ability to rule rightly, even with the Spirit of God with us. Human history doesn't bear that out, and neither does the history of Israel. But enough about postmillennialism. We'll be back shortly to discuss amillennialism. Have a good day. Bye.